Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that everything around you, the news you read, the images you see, the trends you follow, even the emotions you feel, might not be real. Not in the sense of being fake, but in a deeper, more disturbing way, they've replaced reality itself. What if you're not living in the world anymore, but in a simulation of it, a copy so perfect that the original no longer matters? This is what Jean Baudrillard, the French philosopher, tried to tell us decades ago. And most of us didn't listen. Baudrillard wasn't warning about computers or VR headsets or science fiction. He was describing something far more subtle, far more dangerous, a psychological and cultural simulation that seeps into every corner of modern life. He saw a world where signs, images, and symbols no longer represent reality, they become it. Where truth and fiction blur until no one can tell the difference, and where experience itself dies under the weight of constant representation. This isn't the future, this is now. To understand Baudrillard's warning, you have to start with his idea of the real. In the past, reality was simple. Things existed before they were represented, the map came after the territory, the photograph came after the event, the news followed the world. But Baudrillard said that modern society has reversed this. The representation now comes first. We see the map before the land, the selfie before the moment, the trend before the truth. We live in what he called the hyperreal, a state where simulation replaces substance. The image becomes more powerful than the reality it once reflected. Think about it. When was the last time you experienced something that wasn't mediated by a screen? You go on vacation, but you spend more time capturing it than living it. You see the world through a camera lens, not your own eyes. You scroll through filtered images and think that's life. You form opinions from headlines, not from thought. You express emotions with emojis and reactions instead of words and silence. The real has been outsourced, digitized, and replaced with endless copies of itself. Baudrillard called this the death of the real. And he was right, we didn't even notice when it happened. He wrote about something he called simulacra, copies without originals. It sounds abstract, but you live inside them every day. The influencer's authentic lifestyle? A performance of authenticity. The breaking news on your feed? A loop of reactions designed to provoke more reactions. The real world presented by television or social media. A curated theater where the appearance of truth is more important than truth itself. The simulation isn't outside of us, it's the air we breathe. Baudrillard looked at the modern world and saw that everything had become symbolic: politics, culture, love, even rebellion. He said, we live in a world where the real is no longer real. And his examples, written decades ago, feel prophetic today. He spoke about how wars would be broadcast as entertainment, how disasters would become spectacles, how emotions would be commodified and sold back to us in the form of content. He didn't just predict the media age, he diagnosed it before it was born. In a simulated world, images have power because they don't reveal the truth, they hide it. They replace it. Baudrillard used the example of Disneyland. He said that Disneyland exists to make you believe that the rest of America is real, when in fact, both are simulations. Disneyland's fantasy hides the fact that modern society itself is constructed, staged, and artificial. Today, social media plays the same role. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, they're our digital Disneylands. They keep us entertained, distracted, and convinced that the curated fragments we see are real life. But behind the filters lies the emptiness of disconnection, a world where everyone performs reality but no one lives it. Baudrillard's warning wasn't pessimistic, it was revelatory. He wasn't saying the world ended. He was saying that meaning did. We live in an age where symbols no longer point to reality, they point to other symbols. A brand isn't about a product, it's about an image. A celebrity isn't a person, it's a persona. Even politics isn't about governing, it's about spectacle. We don't elect leaders for policies, we elect them for their media presence, their performance. Everything becomes theatre. And in this theatre, the line between truth and illusion disappears. This is why fake news doesn't shock us anymore. Why deepfakes, AI-generated content, and viral misinformation blend seamlessly into the fabric of daily life. Because we no longer expect truth, we expect stimulation. The simulation doesn't need to lie, it only needs to entertain. And once entertainment replaces meaning, we become passive spectators in our own lives. We mistake information for insight, exposure for experience, visibility for value. Baudrillard said that the more we reproduce reality, the less of it we actually have. Every photo, every replay, every digital echo of life distances us from the thing itself. He used to say, "We live in the desert of the real." Decades later, the Wachowskis borrowed that line for The Matrix, because that film wasn't just inspired by Baudrillard, it was practically his philosophy turned into fiction. But here's the twist, even The Matrix became part of the simulation. A film meant to wake people up became a pop culture product consumed like any other. Baudrillard himself criticized it, saying it missed the point. Because the true simulation isn't a machine you plug into, it's the system that makes you believe you've unplugged. Look at how we live. We simulate intimacy with online relationships, simulate achievement with likes and followers, simulate rebellion by posting opinions within systems designed to profit from our outrage. Even our emotions have become data. We no longer express anger, we display it. We don't share love, we post it. Every feeling becomes content, every moment becomes performance. We've built a world where nothing is experienced for its own sake, only for its ability to be seen. Baudrillard would say this isn't just a technological problem, it's a metaphysical one. We've replaced being with appearing, existence with exposure. He said, we live in a world where there is more and more information and less meaning. And that's the heart of our crisis. We're drowning in signals, yet starving for substance. We've traded understanding for immediacy. We've lost the ability to be still, to feel deeply, to sit with the rawness of life without needing to document it. But Baudrillard's theory goes deeper. It isn't just that we've lost touch with reality, it's that we've created a new one that doesn't need the old one anymore. He called this the third order of simulacra, the stage where the copy precedes the original. For example, when you see an advertisement of a perfect family laughing around a dinner table, that image doesn't represent reality, it defines it. People then shape their lives around that image, trying to imitate a fantasy that never existed. The copy becomes the model. Society chases simulations of happiness, beauty, success, endlessly and emptily. Even our idea of the self has become simulated. We curate identities, switch avatars, craft narratives about who we are. But underneath, something fragile happens, we start losing the ability to feel authentic. Baudrillard might say that the self itself has become hyperreal, a digital mask that looks more real than reality. We no longer ask, who am I, but how am I perceived? In a culture built on simulation, perception is existence. And when perception collapses, so does the sense of self. He often wrote about how the media transforms reality into spectacle. Wars, revolutions, disasters, all filtered through the lens of representation. When the Gulf War happened, Baudrillard famously wrote, "The Gulf War did not take place." He didn't mean it literally. He meant that what the world saw was not the war itself, but its televised simulation, a version so mediated, edited, and packaged that the actual suffering, chaos, and humanity disappeared behind the image. Today, the same happens with every global event. Tragedies become trends. Crises become hashtags. We experience the world not directly, but through a constant stream of filtered representations. We are everywhere and nowhere. The scariest part of Baudrillard's vision is not that we live in a fake world, it's that we've learned to prefer it. The simulation feels safer, cleaner, more controllable than reality. Real experiences are messy, uncertain, uncontrollable. The digital ones are optimized, you can edit them, retake them, filter them. You can feel without risk, connect without vulnerability, protest without consequence. The simulated life offers comfort without chaos. But it comes with a cost, the slow death of meaning, depth, and genuine human experience. Baudrillard's ideas might sound dark, but they're also deeply awakening. Because once you see the simulation, you start noticing its edges. You begin to ask, what is real? What is felt, not shown? What is lived, not performed? You begin to crave authenticity again, real conversations, real silence, real connection. The first step to escaping the simulation isn't deleting your apps, it's reclaiming your consciousness. It's noticing when you're consuming life instead of living it. It's asking, who benefits from my distraction? Because the simulation feeds on your attention the same way it feeds on your emotions. Awareness starves it. The truth is, Baudrillard didn't want us to despair, he wanted us to wake up. To see how modern culture transforms reality into illusion, and to choose depth over surface. He wanted us to realize that even if the world is a simulation, meaning can still be created. The danger is not in illusion itself, it's in forgetting that it's an illusion. Once you remember that, you regain freedom. You can use the symbols without being used by them. You can navigate the simulation consciously, with eyes open. Today, every aspect of society, from politics to love to identity, runs on simulation. We no longer ask what is true, we ask what feels true. We no longer seek wisdom, we seek engagement. But philosophy, as Baudrillard practiced it, is an act of rebellion against this, it's the refusal to accept appearances as reality. It's the courage to look beyond the screens and see what remains when the images fade. Maybe reality isn't gone, maybe it's just waiting to be rediscovered. Maybe beneath all the noise, there's still something raw, unfiltered, and true, a pulse that no algorithm can replicate. Baudrillard's message reminds us that to find it, we must first stop confusing simulation with life. We must stop mistaking performance for experience. Because the more we live through screens, the more we risk forgetting how to live at all. In the end, the real danger isn't that the machines have taken over, it's that the simulation has. Not outside us, but inside us. It shapes our thoughts, our values, our emotions. It defines what we consider real, meaningful, or possible. But we still have the one thing the simulation can't fully replicate: awareness. The power to observe, to question, to disconnect, to feel. And in that awareness lies the last refuge of the real. So, the next time you look at a screen, remember Baudrillard's warning. Remember that every image, every click, every virtual moment is a reflection, not a replacement. You can live in the simulation, but don't let it live in you. Because the more you remember what it means to feel, to think, to exist, the more the illusion begins to crack. And through that crack, reality can return, quietly, but powerfully. The real isn't dead. It's just waiting for you to wake up.